President Trump with a statement predicting his own arrest.
This is really outrageous.
Yeah.
That a case that has been dormant now for 3 different times, it's gone to the grave. But as Justice Scalia said, like a ghoul in a late-night horror show, this thing keeps to, shuffles abroad and the zombie's back.
President Trump predicted his arrest this week. A lot of people are saying that, how? Why? Well, he's in a unique spot. One, he got asked to come up here before the grand jury.
Right.
When you're the target, that's towards the end of the grand jury.
Normally, yes.
So that happened a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Then the Secret Service got consulted by the District Attorney's Office. Now? Yes, the Secret Service has been in meetings with NYPD, FBI about the security around the courthouse, security around the Trump building.
Mark Pomerantz, who was one of the attorneys in the New York DA's office, who was originally charged by Cy Vance. Remember, we handled the Supreme Court case involving that same office on the tax returns. And the interesting thing there is that lawyer's written a book. And in his book, he talks about this as the zombie case. It was dead, and then it would come back to life, and then dead again, and then back to life, and then dead again.
Federal government said, we're not getting involved here. DA's office has been all over the place. I mean, this is years going on. But I think the interesting point is the optics.
Yeah.
That's really what this is about this week. Does Donald Trump have to appear in person? Does he get perp walk? Does he demand it? Does he say, put the handcuffs on me?
Let's talk about the charge for a moment here. This idea that a bank entry, that's what they're talking about here, how these payments were classified, is normally a misdemeanor if you can prove a misdemeanor. But they're upping it to a felony by trying to bring in an election charge, because if it's just a misdemeanor, well, that doesn't do anything. So they got to try a felony charge. But this zombie-like case, as the former prosecutor said, I think points out what the problem is here.
You've got a case that's a misdemeanor at best.
At best.
At best, a misdemeanor. And now you're trying to link it to some election case, which I don't even know if you can do that, because that is just, ponying something up with something that is not a felony and try to convert it and contort it into make it a felony so that you make it a serious charge when it in fact isn't. And we've had people who are professors of law and practitioners in criminal law and who have said that this is a novel theory. Well, let me suggest to you that a former president of the United States is not the place to try a novel theory.
They are stretching, and they've acknowledged it's a stretch to do this, but they're putting the country through tremendous stress.
It seems like of all the issues that Donald Trump has faced, this is the weakest of any kind of case you can make. It's the most politically charged. It doesn't even make sense. It's a federal issue because of a federal election, and a state is trying to, not even a state, a local DA is trying to enforce federal law when the federal DOJ decided not to.
This is why we call this a political prosecution, because that's what this is. As Andy and I both said, this is a misdemeanor at best. I don't think you could actually make out the misdemeanor charge here. And to then try to convert it to a felony by including an electioneering violation of election law, to up it to a felony is not only a stretch, but it's a zombie-like case. And I said it's like a ghoul in a late-night horror show, like Scalia said, that keeps shuffling abroad, causing problems and scaring, district attorneys evidently in Manhattan, Andy.
Here's a DA in Manhattan, Bragg, who's taking misdemeanors and having them into rather felonies and reducing them to misdemeanors by the truckload so that he can plead out his cases and not have to send people to jail, and keeping up with the policy of George Soros. And yet, with Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, he's doing just the opposite.
And that's even if it is a misdemeanor charge. I mean, there've been a lot of legal experts inside the federal government and the DA's office that said it wasn't. It wasn't even a charge, that there was nothing here worth prosecuting at all, not even a misdemeanor. So this whole idea that all these DAs from Soros came in to take actual felonies, turn them into misdemeanors, including violent crimes, robberies, drug crimes, and they're going to take one that the DOJ decided there was nothing. If there was anything they could prosecute, they would have. It's Donald Trump. We know that. We all know that. They have failed every single time. I think the outcome here would be the same. The long-term issue here is, politically, do they think it's a win to put Donald Trump in handcuffs?